You know, I have had this theory for many years that a person's life consists of defining moments.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most defining moment in my life for a decision that I made was there was an announcement when I was in the 7th grade for reporters to volunteer to work on a high school newspaper. And I volunteered. I, at a very early age, decided I wanted to be a reporter. But I had decided early on that I did not want the war to end without my being in uniform.
And after the war ended, you came back to the States and started Harold Burson Public Relations.
Well, what happened was that my boss died while I was in the service. I did not want to come back to the company as an employee. And of course, I had good connections. And the day the war ended, which was going to be a year before I came home, I wrote the CEO and said, I want to come back to the States and I want to start my own business and I want you to be my first client. When I went into my own business, without knowing what I was doing, I differentiated myself by specializing in B2B. Started alone, and I started with 2 clients. I built it up to 6 people in 1952 when I got a telephone call from a friend at the Times who said a man named Marsteller, who has an advertising agency in Chicago, wants to hire a PR firm to do a project. I met Bill Marsteller. We talked. He arranged for me to go to Pittsburgh to meet the CEO, which was Rockwell Manufacturing Company. The project turned out extremely successfully. I got him 3 pages in Life magazine for a new home workshop power tool. And 60% of my business had just come in the past 2 weeks from Bill Marsteller. So I decided to approach him and say, we ought to formalize our relationship. So we started a new company. There were 2 major defining moments, I think, that caused the growth of Burson-Marsteller. The first was in the late 50s when the common market, European common market, was formed. And both Clark and Rockwell were going to build plants in Europe. And so I made the bold decision that we're going to go international. I would say the second major defining moment was when we got General Motors as a client. And that came about really as a result of the Ralph Nader campaign against GM when he wrote this book, Unsafe at Any Speed.
It was the Corvair.
The Corvair, that's right. And the chairman had to testify before a congressional committee, and the board of directors mandated that management hire an outside PR firm. So we went all out and did a survey talking to the different constituencies of General Motors. And the reason we got the business is that we had the guts to tell them exactly what people thought of General Motors. And I think that was probably the first time that the 2 top executives of General Motors had ever heard all the criticism that was going on from there. I think that people often ask me, said, what do you think your major contribution or differentiation was in the field? I think I was the first person to realize that public relations could be more than a cottage industry, that it could be a big business.
So Harold, looking ahead, where do you see the public relations business going?
I have some concerns about the future. My concern is that too much attention is being given communication and not enough to the basic behavior of the enterprise.